Welcome back, dweebs. Happy New Year. The final hours of 2024. I hope you're having a good one out there. Thank you for joining us at our unusual stream time tonight. Of course, we did Han Shot first last night at 9 p.m. So making up for yesterday's weekly dweeb. And of course, James, I believe, we'll be back tomorrow to talk more Skeleton Crew with all of you. What up, Axel? What up, Headbug? Just stopping by to say Happy New Year again. I'm already buzzed. Let's go. Yes, have fun. Enjoy yourself. If you need something to just get you through part of your hangover tomorrow, feel free to come back later and throw us on in the background. What up, Kang? Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. The first post we have today, our opening segment. Aaron Taylor Johnson, when asked if he is going to be the next James Bond, I love slipping on a tuxedo. You know what? I wear a tuxedo in Kraven the Hunter. You should come see this movie. Honestly, it's a ton of action. And it's a thrill ride, honestly. Ooh, big red flag for me is seeing someone begin and end their sentence with the word honestly. That certainly doesn't bode well for their actual honesty. Poor guy is doing whatever he can to sell Kraven the Hunter tickets. I couldn't believe it. I was going to go see Nosferatu. Still might be on the agenda before the ball drops tonight. But my original plans of catching it at a discount were foolish, admittedly foolish. Of course, they're not going to have the discount night on New Year's Eve, Kevin. Idiot. So even Kraven the Hunter was full price today. So if that tells you anything, it will be that we'll be watching Nosferatu next Tuesday for me, most likely. Maybe we'll pay full price for it. It's probably worth it. Of all the movies that are probably worth full price, Nosferatu may get my full $13. But speaking of getting your money's worth or potentially not getting your money's worth whatsoever, Netflix has a new... I don't know how new this actually is, but a new policy, if you will, towards background music. Now, I feel like I'm partially guilty for this. Some of you might be here with me. What up, Nate? Happy New Year. I'll have a shot of Malort for you tonight. Thank you. Have one. Have two for me if you've got the stomach for it. I hope you're all enjoying your Malort. I'm staying sober for the stream, all right? And after that, all bets are off. I heard good things about Nosferatu. So have I. I've heard very good things, and we will be talking about it. We'll be reviewing it certainly on the channel at some point. Netflix execs, not the easiest two words to say back to back, tell screenwriters to have characters announce what they're doing so that viewers who have a program on in the background can follow along. Oh, they also have thousands of micro genres, including casual viewing, which is used for movies, TV, that go down best when you're not paying attention. You gotta love being on the list of casual viewing. This is really, when it's most enjoyable is when you're not paying any attention to it. That's what we all strive for as artists, right? Oh boy. But I'm admittedly guilty of creating this because I do put things on in the background. I've heard from some audience members before. I've had people tell me when the Clout Route took its hiatus that they were bummed because they like to fall asleep to Danny and I. Hey, I get it. There is something to being someone's background noise. It's quite an honor, honestly, to put some of you to sleep. That's great. Thank you for that. Happy New Year, Sleek. But this is why shows like The Office or Parks and Rec or maybe even 30 Rock are perfect to me. If you want casual viewing, something in the background, it's just got to be a comedy of some kind, maybe even a sitcom. But the idea that they're gonna pull a Ronald McDonald and it's always sunny. What is that? Lethal Weapon 5, and have the character say, "I'm gonna go run behind that building," so that people who are watching TV while they cook or trying to get through their 9 to 5, that is a bit silly to me. These are things. Another reason why Netflix probably should have never gotten into the studio business. Their business model, not really that successful in the long term anyway, right? All they've done is ruin out ruin it for all of us. At one point they looked like they were going to be the one-stop shop for everything digital. Of course, none of these studios were ever going to let that happen. So as you all know, now we've got 15 different streaming apps to pick from. Meanwhile, Netflix never really owned anything that helped them make money, and their foolish decision, in my opinion, was to just dump tons of money into producing their own content. And some of that I think could have done well. We've talked about on, I think, probably my solo channel before, just talked about true crime stuff and the idea that Netflix does have a bit of a sweet spot. They get those true crime docu-series. They do produce those pretty well, but some of the money that they've wasted making movies and all kinds of stuff. And then you have executives telling people stuff like this: "Oh yeah, just spell it out for her. Just do audio plays and put that out there." That's really what we're going for. If we can just become what you put on when you leave your dog at home alone for 8 hours, that's really going to be what's best for business here. There's our cold open. Let me check in with chat again. Happy New Year, everybody. Everybody coming in. Harl says your background noise right now, dog. See, exactly, right? I love it. There's a time and a place for your background noise, and I am happy to be your background noise to any of your chores or whatever you got going on. But I wouldn't write a movie with that to being with that being the goal. Oh boy, well, rough stuff. It's a compliment, don't worry. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's see. Sleek says Nosferatu, that's the sequel, should be a musical with ballet dancers. Nosferatu 2. Ooh, okay. Now I love it. We're back in the sequel game tonight. Get your best Nosferatu sequel names into the chat. We got to come up with another one. Darn, we'll think of another name to sequel. We did a lot of Nosferatu. Nosferatu could still be on the board. I want to add a little variety here. We'll think of something. Craven the Hunter sequel names. What else does Sleek say? Clout Route came back. You can blame it all on me. I put you guys on, so I feel like I'm not smoking weed by myself. That's good. I like that one. I think one of the rare times where I feel like I can speak for Danny. And I think he appreciates that one as well. We need an episode about the WWE move to Netflix. Oh boy. Yeah, you know what? I could talk about that for a second before we pivot. WWE going to Netflix is really going to not do much in the long run. Nosferatu. To Nosferatu Furious. That's good. And Netflix is, of course, they're gonna hot shot it. Sleek knows this. You probably have seen more commercials about Monday Night Raw moving to Netflix, even as casual viewers. Even people who normally avoid wrestling, you've probably seen or heard a little bit more about it in the past few weeks and months leading into this. They are what the old school promoters would call hot shotting, doing all kinds of stuff and bringing John Cena out of retirement so he can officially retire. That'll be on Netflix. They're putting big rivalries together that normally they would charge money for to put on this very first episode of Netflix so they can tell the whole world how well viewed it is. But generally speaking, they're going to keep the 3 hour format, which I think is a bad idea. They will also continue to have commercial breaks. So if what's the perk as a viewer if you don't already have a Netflix subscription? Are you really going to be excited about paying $15 a month just to watch this one show a week? Granted, it's 52 weeks a year, so you got that going for you. There's no long pauses, so technically you're getting at least with commercials 12 hours of content a month for your $15. Not the worst deal out there in streaming, I suppose. But you're going to have to sit through commercial breaks, which I thought would have been one of the perks. I mean, there's a reason streaming services are priced out the way that they are, right? You got the low entry point. And how many of us pay that premium just to not have ads pitched to us while we want to relax? So there's some value there. So maybe that's something that they inevitably take away. I know they have the ability to do it through Peacock when they run a premium live event, which is what a pay-per-view used to be. There will be commercial segments where the poor folk like me on Peacock watch a commercial, but those premium bastards essentially just get a 1 minute hype video promoting the match that's upcoming. So I really think this is going to be something that's hot for a second for Netflix and for the WWE in general. It will probably stay warm through WrestleMania. This is the time of year this stuff gets popular anyway because they do the Royal Rumble. I think it's beginning of February this year in Indianapolis. Let's go. Shout out. Love the city of Indy. I might even go to that, but that's neither here nor there. So they'll keep things warm until WrestleMania, but after that, I really think it'll start to water down. They just, despite how massive this roster is, they really don't have enough to fill the 3 hour format. It's really, there's a lot of stuff that's not good when it's 3 hours. They may be employing 100 plus talents, but they use about 12 every week, and you can only do so much with that. The long-term storytelling has been pretty good, but with having John Cena around for the next 4 months will probably be awkward as he pops in and out, whatever TV and movie schedule he's got. But yeah, WWE going to Netflix, I think it will be just okay. It'll be fun few weeks is my opinion on that. Let's see what Sleek's got to say in the chat. Nosferatuesday twice the Nos for you. John Cena, that's the perk. Yeah, exactly. So there we have our opening segments for today. We're going to get into the smaller, I hate to call this the lesser of our two major segments for the stream, but this is not our main event. We're saving that for the very end. The Batman 2 has been delayed again to October 1st, 2027. So first and foremost, that just sucks, doesn't it? What a bummer that we are going to have to wait yet another year, right? It was already delayed once before. We had that we were dealing with. And now we're going to have another full year-long delay. But there is a reason behind this, and we'll just go ahead and pull that up so we can start talking about it. Maybe we'll feel a little better about it when we hear why this isn't happening right now. James Gunn says the only reason the Batman 2 delay is that there isn't a full script yet. Well, first of all, excuse me, but we're going to just do something real quick. This should read, James Gunn says the only reason... Okay, no, I just can't read. All right, the only reason for the delay, there we go. I'm good. We're good, gang. Happy New Year. Is that there isn't a full script yet. I was like, wait a minute. That does not make sense, but it does. Matt is committed to making the best film he possibly can, and no one can accurately guess how long a script will take to write. Ha! He's just like me for real, said every aspiring or part time writer. This has got to make everybody feel good. I think half of the social media groups around writing just include people posting memes of, quit procrastinating and work on your art. This is a writer's block is kind of not real, but in a way, when you're stuck on something, when you can't quite get it right, it is something that everybody deals with. And for my money, I am very grateful at the fact that they're not trying to force this into a time slot and say, well, you better get a damn script that works and you better get it together for next year because we need to make money on this. It's an appreciation. They actually care about some quality. That's just amazing. Who would have thought that having a script for your film might actually be important? They're already going to be rebooting Batman by then. That is quite the possibility. But this makes me feel a little bit better. Ideally, you would have an idea for a sequel. It kind of speaks to the fact that there may not. Who says they come up with a good idea? Maybe there's just not a great sequel to this movie. I don't know. I know that I want a sequel to The Penguin. I know that much, but we've got this new information sort of voids some rumors that we had heard previously, and this will tie into the greater DCU and rumors around the Batman. Sleek wants it to be a musical with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga again? You know what? We can go for that. So originally, this was not a full month ago, earlier in December, Comic Odyssey via Danny Malish reported that the Scarecrow and Clayface will both be the main villains of the Batman Part 2. Now, that just sounds like complete gibberish now. Utter nonsense now that we know the script isn't even done for the Batman 2. But this goes into... we have our additional Clayface details, and I think we might just have to multiply some of these. So bear with me. Oh, this one doesn't exist. Someone deleted that one. All right. So those were details of the Clayface movie. So another one that, again, not correct, clearly. That was, wouldn't you know it, that was a Culture Crave tweet, by the way. Not a friend of the show. Now you see why James and I so often try to refrain from using their posts on our program, because they're usually just stealing someone else's work or full of shit in some cases. But I do have a tweet that still exists here with James Gunn talking about Clayface, and this also speaks towards the idea that Clayface has nothing to do with Matt Reeves' Batman. He says he's not worried about Clayface releasing 1 month before the Batman 2. Clayface is in the DCU, so it doesn't matter. And of course, you have Joseph Ventura right here. The first comment, that at least that's filtered, says, does this mean Clayface will not be the main villain in the Batman Part 2 and Hush is still the main villain? Now, I had never heard anything about Hush being the main villain. That wouldn't be too bad. I don't know about a main villain. I could enjoy a story around Hush, especially considering what they did with our Zodiac version of the Riddler. Whatever. That part was handled pretty well, so I think I'd be okay with a Matt Reeves Hush. But this just, again, leads to the idea that those Clayface rumors are completely incorrect. It's not going to be any sort of rollover one into the other. I know there have been rumors that Robert Pattinson maybe folks involved in DC would like Robert Pattinson to be the DCU Batman. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Personally, I would say just leave it. These idiot executives, these stupid suits that probably couldn't pass a middle school art class. The last people that should be making any sort of creative decisions, when you have something that's good, just leave it the fuck alone, please. Just let the creative people who write good stories and have directed this, let Matt Reeves and his team do what they do, and let James Gunn do what he does. And if the two of them decide that they want to have some conversations and say, oh, hey, there'd be a cool way that we could do this, let those two figure that out. If your job is to monitor the bottom line, stay the fuck out of it. Let these two people do what they do and trust them to go make you some money. And unless they come to you with a great idea at how you can cross these two paths, leave it alone. Just let things be what they are. Just leave it alone, but don't leave it alone as much as you did with Joker Fale Adu. Like maybe have some showings, like do some test runs, some test screenings. Don't go full hands off. All right, we that can lead to bad results. There's a sweet spot, right? Gotta work that chaos magic in there. And of course, we want the Penguin in it over Clayface, right? I see that in the chat. Sleek says he better have the Penguin in it. Yeah, would much prefer Penguin over Clayface. I will stand by what I've said previously. I like Clayface as an underrated Batman villain. I didn't know how it was going to work in what I thought was a pretty grounded Matt Reeves Batman universe. So this is perfectly fine with me. It's right in that Goldilocks zone. Fine, we're still going to have a Clayface story. Great. Here for it. Happy about it. But it's in the DCU, which I have no reason to believe is as realistic as the something in the way Batman universe. So keep them apart for now for me, and I'll be happy. I can have my Clayface and eat it too. As we discuss Batman villains, whether they're good, whether they're bad, who should potentially act as them, a new challenger approaches in one of the more difficult roles anyone could ever ask for. Bill Skarsgård has expressed interest in playing the DCU's Joker. There's a pretty cool Joker in me, and it would be very sick. I believe it. More than just the Pennywise of it all, I could see him being a damn good Joker, and sign me the hell up. Kev, what is the meaning of this? What up, Shadow? Just a solo stream tonight to make up for our lack of a weekly dweeb on Monday. So don't worry. James will be back tomorrow, and I may be with him talking Star Wars. But yeah, just me, little bonus show tonight. Wanted to wish y'all a Happy New Year before I start pouring the drinks, all right? We got some very cheap champagne to bust into soon. But Bill Skarsgård talked about being the Joker. There's a little bit more here. I guess it wasn't just the Joker that he expressed interest in. Potentially Batman. For my vote, let's make it the Joker. We'll be down to play Batman, Joker, or both. Get that out of here. Get that other world out of here. The same actor playing Batman and Joker. I hate it, but I kind of love it at the same time. If the right people did it, damn it. What a cool take on that story. Not only, you've seen the ones where Bruce Wayne is crazy, right? Where he's just in an asylum and his rogues gallery are just his roommates, his bunkmates at the asylum. That could be a very cool otherworld twist where we have like a Tyler Durden, Batman is the Joker, but it's probably going to be awful. Like 9 times out of 10, that idea is just probably too ambitious, a little too difficult to achieve, and it's going to fall flat on his face and suck. But that one time in that one universe, it could be really cool. But for my money, just have him play the Joker. He doesn't need to play Batman. Well, he does. You can suggest topics for future shows on the Discord. That's right, Stu. What up? Wait a minute. Bill Sang's dong and Nosferatu. Well, damn. Well, spoiler alert. No, I'm glad. I'm glad to know I'll be able to look away from the prosthetic dong. What is this? A Thunder Gun sequel? Man. All right, Nosferatu. Everybody. Was it? Does Nathan Holt flash dong too? What's going on here? Sleek says, "Have you seen the one where Bruce Wayne is crazy and Alfred is orchestrating all the Batman stuff?" Wait, I don't know if I've seen that. Is that one? Oh, I would love to read that comic. And give me some of that. Like Alfred is staging all this stuff just so crazy. It's just so Bruce has something to do. Like that is a sitcom. I saw some edits. I don't even know how this popped up. I was watching some videos about Breaking Bad, and I saw someone has done Breaking Bad as a sitcom where they re-edit. They just break it down into very, very short segments, and they've added the in studio laugh track and changed up all the music and stuff, and it's goddamn hilarious. So I could see Alfred staging this whole fantasy world for an unfortunate Bruce Wayne. That feels like a comedy show for me. I need that as a satire, some kind of like old school HBO comedy. Remember when they did those well too? When they would have a few shows out there that were funny. Damn, dude, HBO used to be something cool. In the meantime, I'll be using it to watch Juror number 2. Can't wait to watch that. I'm glad it's available for stream. I can't understand why it didn't get a larger run in theaters. It looked like a really good movie. You could just cash in on Clint Eastwood's name. I don't get it. But we'll be watching that this week for sure, and I'll be talking with you all about it. Sticking with Bill Skarsgård, he says that Welcome to Derry will feature a hardcore Pennywise. Maybe this is why he's in the mood to play Joker. He says, "It was fun. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And there are parts of it where we got to explore sides of Pennywise that we haven't seen. There's some cool stuff in there. I'm excited for people to watch." I'm excited to watch by that. I think he's a damn good Pennywise. It's hard to really compare the different versions because the made-for-TV version, while it was great, was made for TV, and it's got a little extra shtick. And as good as part 1 of the modern day it was, I thought part 2 wasn't that great, even though it wasn't necessarily Bill Skarsgård's fault. So I'm hyped for this because I think it's the best actor playing the role that will get a chance a little bit at redemption. And we'll get to see some more cool things with this character. I don't know how involved Pennywise is going to be. If this is going to be something that it sticks to 1 or 2 episodes, or if he's going to be around for the whole thing. I admittedly have played pretty dumb when it comes to Welcome to Derry. I look forward to watching it, but I haven't been looking into it. Been trying to avoid spoilers and whatnot. Let's see what Harl says. Mr. Show was pretty good. I haven't seen that one. I have to add that to my list. Guillermo del Toro was losing it because Juror number 2 got such a small theatrical release. Anyway, can't wait for GDT's Frankenstein only on Netflix. Oh, I feel like he could do a good Frankenstein, but the fact that it's on Netflix really makes me believe it's not going to be what it could be. Oh, I got some mixed feelings on that. We're going to be talking about our main event soon enough. That Guillermo del Toro doing Frankenstein for Netflix. That's about how I feel on Chris Nolan's The Odyssey, which we'll talk about soon enough. Oh, Mr. Show, Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, 2 of my favorites. I've definitely seen some of that then. Oh my my God. Moving from Skarsgård and it back towards the realm of Nosferatu, at least. Not quite on par, but it's Nosferatuesday after all. Uh, Robert Eggers says he has offered Willem Dafoe roles in his next two movies. That is a banger. Look at this tweets of Wizard, like Scorsese and De Niro, or I don't know, Montel and Tatum, or Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry. Uh, but they are a great duo. I saw the first one. I thought they were gonna be all real. Tyler Perry got me there, but um, these two, I mean, what The Lighthouse is a film that I absolutely love. I don't think there's a Robert Eggers film so far that I haven't enjoyed. Um, and Willem Dafoe is a goddamn madman, and I think he's a great fit. So I have no idea what the roles will be, but if they're going to work together two more times, I think that's going to be a win for all of us. Another tweet that I couldn't find in time to prep for the show, but another Robert Eggers related tweet says that he has, I think, 5 different feature films at different points of production right now. Is it? Does he have one about a night? I think that either he just finished the script or something. He's got a ton of stuff going on all at once. Pretty wild. Now, credit where it's due, he's not the only filmmaker that does that. It's amazing how some of these folks in that industry have several that are finished that they've written that are in, they're trying to sell or get into the works, and they'll be editing something that finished filming a couple years ago while we're pre-production something else. It's wild, but the idea that he's got 5 feature films, when you've seen the quality of work that he does and the attention to detail, it's pretty mind-blowing. Like, well, that guy, I wonder if he even has a house, if he just sleeps on set constantly. Kangalove says it was really good. I watched, my BF and I watched The Lighthouse a few days ago. Yeah, I love that one. There's some other ones that are good. The Vitch, I think. The Vivitch, The Witch. Dafoe matches Eggers' Freak. I hope he's in that Western. Yes. Oh man. A Robert Eggers Western is, that is going to be something nice. Give me that. I think that will make me happy. Unlike this next one, which I really don't know. I don't know if this is going to make me happy, guys. This is either going to be the greatest moment in my film viewing life, or it's going to just break me at the core of my soul. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which, no, it's Homer's The Odyssey, damn it. But anyway, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey by Homer will reportedly be the most expensive film of his career. Somehow it is also going to come out before Batman 2. Just got announced. Hasn't even started yet. But, oh boy. We've got a cast list courtesy of Headbug, who shared that in our Discord. So I'm going to pull that up here in a moment. But I can't be alone in this. One of the tweets I saw was something along the lines of every middle school lit teacher is hyped for this movie. But that is exactly how it correlates to me. I don't know about all of you in the audience, but The Odyssey was one of the first books, stories that I just absolutely fell in love with and became obsessed with. The, I guess, cinematic universe of Greek and Roman mythology. Was something I was fascinated with at an early age, and so I've read the Iliad, I've read the Odyssey, I've sat through movies like Troy and enjoyed as much of them as I could, considering it's always been one of my favorite stories of all time. It all started in 7th grade. It was mandatory reading. We were required to read the Odyssey I believe, God, I think we even had to read parts of it out loud. That old school, just it was in our textbook, if memory serves. I have my own copy today, but since I was a youngster, I have loved this story, read through it a couple of times, and I am just very, very nervous at the idea that this could be told as one film at all. I'm not worried about the budget, although it would take quite a lot of money to recreate some of the some of the shit that goes on. A lot of that stuff can't really be done with prosthetics. You're gonna have to, when you get the giant involved, when you get the sirens involved, you're gonna have to have CGI with those kind of things. But I don't know that this can be told as a movie. If you told me it was going to be a series on HBO, I might feel a little more comfortable about that. I mean, they don't hit 100% either. But most books in general are too big for a 1, 2 to 3 hour movie, right? I think for the most part we all agree on that. The really good book adaptions usually end up splitting things into two parts. Look at Dune, to a lesser extent, It, as we mentioned already. I I am hoping, which is unusual for me to hope this, that this will become a two-parter. I I don't see anything that's leading us to believe that, but I guess if there were a filmmaker, there's not just any one, honestly, that I would pick to undertake this, but Chris Nolan's on the list, right, of people that at least at one point in time in his career, you would be very confident that, okay, he could probably do this. Uh, as we mentioned, maybe maybe I'd like to see Robert Eggers' interpretation of it instead. Like I said, the list isn't massive. I tell you what, if Ridley Scott did the Odyssey, I would pluck out both of my eyes just to prevent me from ever having the opportunity of watching that, because Ridley Scott, great filmmaker though he may be, uses biopics as some kind of crutch to just use a famous person's name to tell whatever fucking story he wants, and he has no care at all for any historical accuracy, or for it to even be a halfway decent representation of the famous person who he's glomming his story onto. I mean, even Gladiator, the first one's at least good, but it's nonsense as far as history speaks. But it does okay. It serves it, and then we get freaking Gladiator 2. That is just also just complete nonsense. But most of the time, these sort of movies just are not done justice. Oh God, what was it? Who did Alexander? God damn it, the guy who did JFK. At least he admitted that he said Alexander never suffered a defeat until I made the movie on him. So that one was broke. Mad about Napoleon, huh? Yes, I'm very mad about Napoleon. Boats. And Josephine. Oh my God. I mean, Josephine was important, but we're leaving Egypt because Josephine's banging me. No, that's not why. Got his ass whooped. They also never fired a cannon out of the pyramid. What are you doing, man? Why are you doing this to me? And I'm just worried that stuff like this might happen with the Odyssey. I thought Napoleon was dynamite. Get out of here, Sleek. It was a Bonaparte. I got it. I love it. I need to bring my keyboard over here and just set it to drum mode so I can hit the drum-ts. But let's look at the cast and see if there is a saving grace here. Am I going to be applauding in the theater when the credits roll for Homer's The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan, or am I going to be lighting myself on fire like Lucille Bluth? Whoo! Starring, here we go. Okay, described as a mythic action epic. Whew. That follows the tale of Odysseus and his 10-year journey home after the Trojan War. Again, in 2.5 hours. All right. Best of luck to you. Starring Peter Parker, because let's be honest, Tom Holland has never not played Peter Parker. Zendaya. Good. No issues there. Anne Hathaway. You know what? No real issues there either. She's done good work with Christopher Nolan before. All right, good. I think she can provide something. Matt Damon, probably the only person that I've seen so far that I could, after a few drinks, be convinced might play a proper Odysseus, because, like those nerds in the audience who agreed with me about reading this way back in 7th grade literature, whenever you read it, Matt Damon's mom was a teacher as well, so there's a really good chance, at least better than most, that he actually has some knowledge and respect and potentially even some love for this story. So maybe Matt Damon could be the right guy. We see Lupita Nyong'o and Robert Pattinson. I wonder who Robert Pattinson would play. I mean, maybe it's Odysseus. That's the other thing. How are they going to cast Odysseus? Because at this point, I mean, he's an older guy. This is after the entire Trojan War. All right, so he's been a king already for some time. He's been at war for, I can't even remember how many years off the top of my head that went. The Iliad is only covers like a portion of it. So he's technically an older gentleman. Are they going to, much like they cast a 50-year-old Joaquin Phoenix to play a 24-year-old Napoleon Bonaparte, or who are we going to get? Are we going to get Al Pacino as Odysseus? Maybe a little Robert De Niro? I don't know. I think, as of right now, I guess give me Matt Damon out of this list, but the list doesn't make me feel that much better. Although we've got to, I want to collect this list. Speaking of lists, that we're gonna build it over time and have our same guy Hall of Fame. I don't know how we're gonna frame it. We need a better title than that. But I want to come up with the Hall of Fame class of actors who just get hired to be themselves or to play the same role every time. Maybe it's not themselves. I tend to think with Tom Holland, he seems like a pretty nice guy. I think Peter Parker is just kind of an extension of Tom Holland. And when I watched that awful Uncharted movie and saw him just being Peter Parker instead of Nathan Drake, and then there's the other one where I think they could like see thought bubbles over their head or something. It's dumb. He just plays Spider-Man and everything, much like Will Smith plays Will Smith. We've done this exercise before, but one day I want to devote an entire bonus stream to it. Let's see what chat says. My mind went to Tobey Maguire. Ooh, Tobey Maguire. Okay. I keep getting Tom Hardy and Tom Holland mixed up. Tom Hardy, he plays multiple characters. I think he does a better job than most, probably, at showing a little bit of range. Joaquin Phoenix can do anything. He can even be the Joker and sing, but also not be the Joker at the same time, and also not sing at the same time. He does a decent Johnny Cash, but I don't know what they were doing in that Joker Fale Adieu. Some of those decisions were just very bad. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Well, I ran through the list of things a little more quickly than I thought. Now, to be fair, I had told James that I thought I could get a solid 45 out of the topics, and that's where we're at right now. We're at 45, but I want to kick it for the hour, all right? I'm going to figure out something else before we kick it out here. We got to get the hour at least for the stream, right? It's not, can't nobody streams for 45 minutes. Come on, we got to go a little bit longer. Oh, looks like I may have company on the Nosferatu review. That's pretty cool. So we'll keep that a secret for now, but I've got a text on my phone about it saying I'm going to watch Nosferatu before you do so we can review it together. Hell yeah. Let's look forward to that. There's another review that I'm going to do that I really want to spend the time to sit down and write out my thoughts. I've actually taken several pages of notes on this movie. I'm going to talk about it a little bit now because I want to hang out for a little while longer, and we'll see if you guys have some thoughts on these. I'm actually going to talk about two movies before we go, and we'll save the best for last. So we've talked a little bit about this movie before. So if you were around for those episodes, apologies if some of this is redundant. But I've got my dweeb to do list pulled up in front of me. So one of the movies I'm going to rewatch over these first 5 days of the year and finish up a review is M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. And I've been seeing a ton of clips from the movie. It's like it's prodding me, reminding me to do this as people start to share their thoughts on the best scenes, the best acting of 2024. We look back on the year, and I've seen a lot of compilations of poor M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, who plays Lady Raven in that movie, and her different portrayals, her different moments, the highlights, if you will, of that movie. And I don't know, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Yeah, as Kang says right there, his daughter, Nepo Baby Passion Project. That's exactly what this felt like. Poor Josh Hartnett is just busting his ass. You know, he's doing as much as he can to try to make this a decent film. He's up there just first of all, his character, like it feels very phony, not necessarily because of his fault, because I don't think M. Night Shyamalan remembers what it's like to be a normal person. So the character, the dad, doesn't feel normal, and so many of the ways that he's able to trick the employees and stuff like that don't make any sense because it's not how people would interact together. Like there's the one time when Josh Hartnett, Cooper is his character's name. Cooper is back there pretending to be an employee, and there's a bunch of cops, and he's grabbing some coffee, and he says something weird. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, who's that lady who was giving the speech earlier? She seemed like she was kind of in charge of things." And it's like, dude, you're the most obvious person ever. Like Cooper's character is so obviously the suspect that it doesn't make any sense that he wasn't caught right away. It makes no sense that the employee is dumb enough to help him. He gets away with things multiple times just because everyone else in that arena is a fucking idiot. It makes no sense. And poor Josh Hartnett is acting his ass off to try to make these weird lines seem believable. He has to bounce between being a caring father who's just trying to give his awkward daughter a good time, show her a good time. Her bully and her bully's mother are in the audience, and so he's dealing with all that while he is actively monitoring a poor person he's got trapped in a basement somewhere because he's just that sick he can't go 2 hours without checking on it. It's just, and then he's the most obvious incognito Captain America in a plain ball cap kind of what who are you hiding from acted like this. And just when you think it can't get any more comical and bad, that's when the Lady Raven section starts. And as Kang points out, I've heard she's a good singer but not a good actress. Yeah, she almost felt and this is not meant to be a knock, but the best way I could put it for anyone who hasn't seen it is it almost felt sort of like a theater kid-ish, where it was almost like she was overacting at times. Like she didn't know how to do it in a way that feels natural. Now, in the defense of people on stage, they're usually doing that on purpose because everyone's in the building and you need people far back and far away to be able to see and read your body language. So then it's kind of trained into you. You're doing it on purpose. This just felt like that's the best way I can describe it. I don't even know if she has a theater background at all or if she just was singing prior to this, but there are moments where she's just so over the top that it feels cheesy. It just doesn't feel great. Acolyte season 2 on ice. That well, she might be good for that. To be honest with you, Sleek, but yeah, Seleka Shyamalan. That is her name here. As we've got Trap. Uh, not not a movie that I enjoyed very much. And you get to the point where the mom knew about it or didn't. You know, she found one of his weird hideout locations and plants the ticket there. So she was from the beginning. So you have this whole thing where you think the mom and the daughter are oblivious, and the daughter apparently is oblivious, but the mom was suspicious and, in fact, turned Cooper in. Essentially, this whole thing was set up because of information that she gave to them, and it's just an odd turn when you find out that no, yeah, she knows everything, and she put the weird chemical, the sleep chemical, in his pie, and then he sits and eats it. Like, what? You're in this situation where everyone is on to you at this point. You've got, I think the cops might even be outside at this point. I can't remember. This is why I have to watch it one more time before we sit down and honestly review it. But though it's painful, especially when you're taking notes. I don't know if any of you review movies as a hobby, but it can be very painful to watch it several times as you're sitting there and taking note. I take too many notes, to be fair. Like I'm a bit over the top with it. It's like I write the entire summary out, like from scene. It's hard for me to let a scene happen without notating. Oh, and then this happens because I don't want to call it out for some loophole that's not there just because I forgot to jot it down. And if a movie's really bad, you don't want to watch it forever, so you want to just write the shit down so you don't have to watch it anymore. That's kind of how I felt going back to this one, where it's like, it it can be a lot of fun, to be honest with you, if you treat it almost like a drinking game or a movie that you're looking at it through that so bad it's good lens. If you kind of treat it like you're going to walk into a quirky comedy and Josh Hartnett is going to Dennis Reynolds his way through this situation, it can be unintentionally hilarious, and I think that's okay. The worst thing you can be is just completely boring. So I will give it that. If you ever find yourself on a long flight and Trap is one of the options, and there aren't too many others, or you've got it up on a streaming service and it's trending for some reason, maybe throw it on. It's perfect for that Netflix background casual viewing genre. Throw Trap on instead of a super fan episode of The Office. You'll get some enjoyment out of Trap. The other movie that I'll be talking about that I enjoyed thoroughly was Blink Twice. He says, so should I treat it like I'm watching a trauma film? Yeah, yes, I would treat it. I would treat it like you're watching something from Neil Breen or Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Something like that. Or A Cool Cat Saves the Kids, something like that. You expect it to be bad. Birdemic, one of those, and you will be happy. So Blink Twice. Again, I've probably shown this already, but I've got a lot of notes on this particular movie, which is why the video isn't out yet. Look at all that. Goddamn. This movie's a lot of fun. So some of what I may talk about now might spoil a little bit of that video for you. So apologies in advance, and Happy New Year if you decide you're ready to call it and just want to check out the video when it comes out. But generally speaking, Blink Twice, well edited, well shot. I thought the cast was great. There was some very well done soundtrack work. The audio was good as far as the music, but also there are lots of audio cues because so much of what is going on relates to your other senses. So obviously it wasn't that Blueberry theater in Texas where they played Heretics, so you couldn't get the smell involved, but audio was very important in this story, and they used it very well. It's an awkward, slow build, to be honest, but once it gets there, you're there. I was invested, even though there's really no twist, right? The idea, again, spoiler alert, major spoiler alert for for Blink Twice. What up, John? Welcome, John. Happy New Year. He says a movie called The Odyssey about a guy named Odysseus. Come on, yeah, come on. Maybe that's where they got the name Odyssey. But so, as far as Blink Twice goes, it's if you've seen the trailer, you're gonna know immediately what it's about. Even if you just hear the elevator pitch, like there's the whole 20 minutes that lead to them getting invited to Channing Tatum's private island, where I mean, you know what's gonna happen. They get invited to this private island, and things are gonna get weird. But the additional members of his weird crew are phenomenal. Christian Slater plays a guy who's missing a pinky. Who's again Christian Slater goes on our list, by the way, of actors who just get to play themselves. And what's weird is Christian Slater being himself is really just Christian Slater doing a Jack Nicholson impression. And but that's what got him hired. And so now he just does that same impression, but that's just who he is now. It's a weird kind of meta situation, but he is so good in this role. You can imagine, if you've seen some of his other work, Christian Slater just playing a high-class, rich bastard who treats people like property. I mean, you can kind of see it, right? No disrespect to the man. I don't know him, but based on other roles, he fits this one very well. And maybe Funke is in this. I can't remember the actress's name. We'll get that pulled up here in just a second. But she plays the lead's best friend, and she is great. And it was fun to see her in something serious. I've never really seen her in anything outside of Arrested Development. So we'll get the cast pulled up here. It's Aaliyah Shawkat. There we go. Easy for me to say, pal. You had Christian Slater playing Vic. That's right. Naomi Ackie was our lead. And from the very beginning, you're kind of led to the fact that Frida's not that great of a person either. There's at one point early on, I have a note that says that she could be a villain as well. Oh yeah, the protagonist is a psycho. She's been obsessed with this dude and leaves his vape pen, and she stares at it like a nut. Yeah, there's a whole thing involved. There's a wicked twist at the end. I won't spoil it right now because if you have not watched it yet, and there will probably be a little bit more time. There's some other videos that will get done before this, so you probably have a week or two before the full spoilers version will come out. So I would highly suggest this movie if you haven't watched it. So I'm going to avoid spoiling everything right now, but the concept is pretty simple. Group of young women get invited to a rich man's private island, and things are not as they would seem. It should be noted that the script was written by Zoe Kravitz about 7 years ago, so it predates anybody that you might think it is based on. But again, worth noting for those who may not know, probably all of you do, Zoe Kravitz is the daughter of Lenny Kravitz, who has been pretty famous for about as long as I've been alive. So there's a good chance that some of these things were based on experiences that she had being at all these white glove, red carpet events. But this one, it's a really cool freaking movie. And Channing Tatum, I thought, did a phenomenal job playing this character. Just about everybody cast in any role. There are some stereotypes involved, as you could imagine, when you've got a mansion full of rich people and the kind of people that might accept an invitation to go to a millionaire or billionaire's private mansion for a week. There's got some archetype sub characters for sure, but everybody plays their roles well, including Haley Joel Osment as Tom. It's hilarious seeing the photo they use. That's not how he looks now. We all get old, but that photo from 20 years ago does not represent his character very well. But what do we see? A 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's a little low, if I'm being honest. I think it should get a better grade than that. Kang says, I think this movie led to the breakup of Zoe and Channing. It's very interesting. I did watch some behind the scenes stuff involved, and like they obviously were together before, and in the promotion of the movie. This movie originally, her version of the script was called Pussy Island, and they have these lighters on it that would say Pussy Island, and he would bring that stuff around on his TV promotions and talk about it. So it seemed like something early on that maybe brought them together was the love for filmmaking. But let's see, Kang also says they ended their engagement not long after this film premiered. And the thing I was going to add to that is something that I noticed watching the behind the scenes stuff. He mentions it as well when they're talking, and it's done in a moment of endearment. Like he's speaking positively of her in the promo material, but he says stuff like, yeah, when I first met Zoe, she told me, like, we don't date. I don't go on dates, like movies. That's what it is. You know, that I sit at home and I watch movies and I study movies and I want to make movies. And there were a couple of different shots, like some candid behind the scenes stuff where, you know, at one point she would like blurt out, well, my favorite movie is this. And he would say, and he kind of joined in like, yeah, that's our favorite movie or whatever, where it kind of felt like from the very limited interactions I saw that she might be a woman that is married to her work. Whereas I don't know that Channing Tatum has ever had to play ever been the backseat to anything in any love interest life, right? It seemed like maybe they weren't 100% compatible because she, like I said, she seemed 100% about that life. When you hear her talk about the film now and everything, I truly believe we'll see more good work from her. This whole thing was very well done. It's unfortunate if it is true that making that movie together ended their relationship. That is a bummer, but they at least have something to hang their hat on in that regard. Like that, no one can take that away from them, and hopefully they'll be able to at least look back on that fondly, because I think it's a really good movie. What else do we have in the chat? Sleek says you should see him on Comedy Bang Bang. Are we sure this predates The Other Island? Well, she might have known about The Other Island, but they were very adamant, both her and Channing, that this was not based on anyone. And a lot of the promotional material, even that came from outside parties, mentioned that this predates Epstein. So I don't know. Maybe they just really don't want us to draw that conclusion that we will obviously draw otherwise. But it is a really cool movie, one that much like for very different reasons, but much like Late Night with the Devil, which is one I simped for a lot this year, this movie really leads itself to enjoyable rewatches. It's another one, like unlike Trap, I am very much looking forward to watching this one a second time with my notes out to catch up on everything that I missed. So that will be a lot of fun. What is up in the chat? Let's see. Headbug says it has just hit midnight in the UK. Happy New Year. Let's go. Happy New Year, Headbug, in the future. Sleek says, tell me about the future. What's it like in 2025? Happy New Year, Headbug. Harl says, if I was dating someone who made me publicly hand out Pussy Island merch, but then change the title, I might probably have to call it. Yeah, maybe it was the bad PR that led to the end. Oh my goodness. Just because they don't want us to draw that conclusion doesn't mean it's not true. And that is it's very true. I mean, we're gonna draw that conclusion regardless. And the way the whole thing opens up, the opening scene sets the tone. Again, I won't go too further into it here. But that thing is a lot of fun. The other one that we've talked about briefly in recent weeks. The other thing that I watched over vacation was the This is the Zodiac Speaking, which actually got me to start reading the book Zodiac by Robert Gray. Was it Graysmith? Um, it's weird. I have an old copy that I bought at a thrift store, and it's got like the mail-in rebate stuff at the back. It's pretty cool. It was from back when you could buy that book for $3. So it's pretty wild. Here, oh, I guess it's $8 if you buy it at Target. Here's the version that I have on the shelf by Robert Graysmith. So not very far into the book, and you don't get to any of the Lee Arthur Allen stuff until the very end. But this has been one that has kind of re-engaged an old cold case for me. I don't know how much of you knows. Probably a lot of you hung out on the true crime streams anyway. But I'm a big fan of true crime stories and just detective stuff in general. I mean, huge nerd for detective noir stuff like Chinatown. One day we need to play LA Noir. We need to do an LA Noir playthrough so I can just press X to doubt on everything. But for whatever reason, if I had the stomach for it, honestly, I probably would have been a detective. And if I had the brain for it, I might have loved to have been a lawyer someday. I was very fascinated with just crime and justice, I guess, is one way to put it. So when you find these things and then you implement this weird little code that this guy made that somehow nobody could break, it just I can understand why people have been so drawn to this case over the last 50 years. But I find it odd, and the thing that I will eventually talk about in more detail when I talk about This is the Zodiac Speaking as its own thing, because I've since started to watch other documentaries, and again, I want to read the book. But there are many other suspects. It's not just the one. And this show presents it as if it's definitely this guy. I will say a lot of the evidence, circumstantial as it may be, a lot of it does point to him. But there are other suspects that have a lot of potential ties to it as well. There's also been the possibility that his friend, Don Chaney, someone who initially was someone who led the police to Arthur Lee Allen, that perhaps the reason he was able to tell these stories was that he might be involved. There's some DNA evidence that suggests that Don Chaney it was his saliva on some of the stamps that the Zodiac sent. Now, conveniently, he had that built into his story. The guy, he just did an awful lot of random things for his friend Lee that didn't throw up any red flags at the time, and he didn't mention them in the years following. But, 20, 30, 40 years later, all of a sudden he remembers all these details. So, again, a lot of stuff to press X to doubt. I walked away from This is the Zodiac Speaking, feeling like it was, at the very least, partially motivated by just making money, versus just trying to solve the case. And why is that? Wow. This was actually a documentary in 2008, a 1 hour and 42-minute documentary by the same name that I will now have to check out. But yeah, for those who didn't watch it, it was here. We won't play the trailer, but this is what you're looking for. This is Zodiac Speaking about Lee Arthur Allen. Arthur Lee Allen, forgive me. But first of all, what's with all the 3 named serial killers? That's a real weird thing. If anybody ever introduces themselves to me and they give me all 3 names, I'm immediately terrified. Like this, I'm going to end up as a lampshade at this dude's house. All right. I don't know what it is. Any parents out there, please give your kids middle names that they won't want to say when they're introducing themselves, because I can't be the only one. It sets off the weirdo alarms right away. Like, oh my God, every time. They're either going to kill a lot of people or kill a really important person. You know, they're either going to shoot the president or be a serial killer. Just don't do it. Avoid it at all costs. But I guess without going into the issues with continuity and the fact that this family again had a lot of this information for years, and their version of it sort of is like they were waiting for their mother to die because one of the kids in the Seawater family, uh, Arthur Lee Allen, was a school teacher, and so they spent a lot of time. They had a single mother. Their own father actually ended up in a state hospital because he, I mean, absolute like trigger warning for domestic and sexual violence. Happy New Year if it's time for you to go. But their own father was arrested for something they had done to one of the daughters, who's one of the main POV people telling you this story. And so they were 5 kids living with a single mother, and Arthur Lee Allen, one of the teachers, would go to their house a lot, help their mother cook, do things, take them. You know, there's a story that one of them has about him taking them to a derby, and the mom allowed them to stay the weekend at a hotel with him. They accuse him of drugging them, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that he did. It is worth pointing out, Arthur Lee Allen did go to that same hospital, that same state hospital, for molesting a student, and he was gone for 4 years. He was locked away, and during those 4 years, there were no new Zodiac letters. So there are little bits of circumstantial evidence that really do seem to line up with him. He was a diver. He wore a Zodiac watch. You know, again, this is where the new eyewitnesses from this account talk about being children helping him make his diving suits, and they suggest that David Fincher's film, also called Zodiac, is what led them to finally believe that this was real. Okay, so bear with me. We're going to go back to IMDb here in a second, because that movie came out in 2007, so 17 years ago, and this new series just came out. So why did it take 17 years for them to decide that they were going to finally come out with it? Again, some of it, they framed it as if, you know, their mother wouldn't share some of the information. But then they get to the end and you find out that this box that would tell them everything, that their mother never gave that to them. So it was like this red herring that they had of like, oh, here's a box that will answer everything. And that kind of leads you to believe, okay, maybe that's why they didn't come to any conclusion. They didn't have any concrete evidence. And so maybe that's why they didn't share it. But you also come to find out, sorry, major spoiler alerts here. Arthur Allen death date. We're going to talk about the whole thing. So this thing is getting spoiled for you. 1992 is when he died. Okay, for those of you keeping score at home, as part of this documentary, one of the Seawater children mentions that Arthur Lee Allen admitted to being the Zodiac on the phone in a call with him. So that would have been before he died. So that was in 1991. David Seawater alleges that he spoke to a detective for all of 15 minutes who just blew him off, essentially said, we can't do anything with that, which is fair. You can't do anything with that. It's not like he would get the same. Arthur Lee Allen would not have then professed his guilt to the police as well. So it's a he said. You really can't do anything with it, but it's just these little things for me make it odd to buy the idea that 2024 was the soonest time you could do this, and that truth and justice and helping the victims was any part of your motivation. I feel like this was a family that realized, maybe even long after the Fincher film, you know, it's can be proven that one of them was Arthur Lee Allen's student. You can see the class photo. Beyond that, it's a lot of family story time that in a case that has been looked at over the last 50 years, it would not be impossible or even improbable to pin your own timeline, put things together. If he was your teacher and you lived in that area, it wouldn't be hard, especially in an age where there weren't cameras everywhere and we didn't have the ability to see all the things we can see now. Wouldn't be the hardest thing to do to just make all this shit up to make a buck. So I am pressing X to doubt on This Is the Zodiac speaking. And so that's where my thoughts are. That let's check in with chat, because I've been neglecting chat. Ooh, Kev, we need a Garfield cart movie. Wait a minute, is there a Garfield cart? Like, is that is there a Mario Kart but with Garfield characters? Because I agree. Give me it as at least an animated series. What are we doing? Let's see. I think I might have missed a few here. The Lampshade is another good true crime book. Okay, gotta check that out. Nate says just jump back in, but this series is interesting and I have some thoughts for another time. Ooh, let's go. You know, Nate is our former resident ghost hunter and a guy who knows some things about true crime himself. So maybe we need to pick one of these stories, Nate, and review it together on the channel. He says, I thought they finally solved it. And Nate says they did not. They went to Riverside International Raceway, which is unfortunately no longer exists. Okay, so I think Nate did watch this series as well. Hell yeah. Great film. If ever turns out LAA is not the Zodiac, even if it is a good movie, and I look forward to finishing this book. If it wasn't the dead guy that they thought it was, it's a metaphor for enlightenment, JK. We still gonna do that. I still need to do the Great Work stream. That'll probably, actually, I shouldn't even say probably. Damn, I technically should have done it before the Skeleton Crew episode that drops tonight, but let's hope the Great Work doesn't get completely ruined for the show, and then I can still do it, and it'll be timely, and I'll get it done between now and the 5th, but we'll see. It's still on the to-do list. I don't see what Space Rocks have to do with this. It's really Ted Cruz is the Zodiac, just like Tommy Wiseau is DB Cooper. I happen to have seen DB Cooper online, so I don't know about that one. DB Cooper lives a quiet life of peaceful wrestling and goofing off. There it is. Absolutely. Okay, so there is my unofficial review of This Is the Zodiac speaking. We also talked about Trap and Blink Twice. Everything else is stuff you already know that we've talked about before, so we'll save that. We'll just go and get those videos out. The last thing I think I'm going to do here, we're going to end things with a preview review. I have not watched this one yet, and we'll see. Maybe this will be something that James and I watch on a stream together. Why won't this go full screen? Here we go. This is going to be released on January 29th on Disney Plus. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Let's see, can we hear it though? That's going to be the real question. Looks like we can.
Peter, you're going to be late.
Sorry, babe, I'm okay.
We've talked about this art style before,
Petey's
but I'm
always
really
been a
into
bit
it.
clumsy.
You know me, clumsy Petey Parker. Help! Mr. Campbell, I remembered I left something in the bathroom. Deuces. Parker out.
Oh, I love this Peter Parker, man.
Superpower size kid, know you want a neighbor like me. Look out.
Somebody help me!
Homemade Spidey suit. It's gonna get all.
I thought it was dead meat. Check out our next victim in his dumbass costume.
No,
Is
James
my
A.
suit really that
Janice
bad?
is dead meat. What are you talking about?
Oh!
Watch out for that ladder!
Just consider it a good deed from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's me, by the way. I'm Spider-Man.
There we go, there we go, there we go again. Swinging through the city so fast you could barely notice him.
I truly believe that I have these powers to help people, to protect them.
Need my city, you need me.
I don't know about the song, but okay, I love the song.
Ain't nothing changed, no, this is the real me.
So, you're Spider-Man. With my help, you'll achieve greatness.
Oh man, this suit's incredible. If you ever need another butt kicking, just look for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Know you want a neighbor like
Ooh. Love the suit. That's, oh wait.
And no, you may not be excused from said test. Ah, nice of you to join us, Mr. Parker. See me after class.
All right, there it is. Of course, we will go back, go a little frame by frame and talk about it. What's Kang say here? I'm sad I was sick and knocked out during the Superman trailer review. They gave me a shot and I was out like a light for hours. Dang, that's, whoo, you know, that's never fun. I can remember the last time I was in a morphine haze, pre or post surgery, and it sounds like it could be good, right? Like, oh yeah, I was just knocked out on these loopy meds, but no, it's never as fun as it sounds. Unlike this show, which I think is promising. I think we'll
Peter, you're gonna be late.
Sorry, man, I'm up.
turn it down. I guess I don't need to mute. Oh wait, that's not the. Jeez, Kev, come on. Act like you've been here before.
Sorry, man, I'm up. I'm okay.
Hey,
Oh,
Petey's
This
always
is
been a bit
more
clumsy.
like it.
you know me, clumsy, Petey, Parker.
Across the Spider-Verse has been good. I think Tom Holland's fine for the MCU. But it looks like this show's going to address a lot of what Spider-Man fans just don't love about the MCU current installment. You always get the Iron Man's Robin sort of feedback. Actually, I'm going to mute that. We get the, you know, he doesn't really, we don't get this phase right here. Like, look, this guy, he's wearing a hockey jersey. He's got elbow pads on. You can see the wiring of the web shooters and all kinds of good stuff that you just don't get with the MCU. Look, he's got his tank there in his backpack. Now, I imagine he's not going to be like this for very long in the show, but I think the actually being a teenager again, these are things that I think people like about the Miles Morales and Across the Spider-Verse, is that feels a little more true to form for what this character is and what it represents, whether it's Peter or Miles. Like, they have some overlap. Obviously, they're different characters and they fit the role of Spider-Man differently, but it's this just feels like it's more in line. Not that I think if you asked people, they'd probably, especially looking at all the Spider-Man adjacent stuff Sony has done, they'd probably say we should just be thankful for Tom Holland's Spider-Man and that it could have been a lot worse and it still could get worse. But I do think the way this is laid out, it's going to be a different version of the show, a little closer to what the comic books felt like. And I just, it's kind of captures some of the Across the Spider-Verse art style as well. I know they mix it up. They do a bunch of different animation styles, but I think this, I don't know, it all looks very good. It looks clean. I'm impressed by how it looks. I think this one's going to be good, guys. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10 on the preview review. This reminds me so much of Archie, honestly, too. Like the colors are so good on this right now. Like, this feels like a brand new comic book from 30 years ago. And you're opening, like, just everything's popping. I love it. Rarely am I excited about a Disney Marvel show, but whenever I am, you can bet it's going to be animated. So here we are once again. Nothing new, no surprise here. I'll be interested in it. I imagine it's going to get the same kind of pass that Skeleton Crew's been getting, though, where this is going to be a kid's show, right? So how perfect will it be? I don't know, but off to a good start. I think it looks appealing, certainly. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, because we are about to call it here. I think it's time for me to get prepped for my New Year's Eve celebration. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I hope you have a fantastic New Year's Eve and New Year's celebration. Let's see what chat has to say. Johnny's back. What up, John? He says, Kev, we should do a show where you're George Lucas taking auditions. I wish I could do the Collider. Have you guys ever seen that? George Lucas Reacts. That is just phenomenal. I wish I could do a George Lucas impression. He's like, Daddy needs a new pool. He's like, they call it IG-88 because if they call it this, they got to send Daddy a check or something like that. So anyway, it was great. Thanks, Kang. Enjoy the steak. Good luck. Oh, that sounds delicious. Again, a happy New Year to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful time. You won't have to wait long to see us in 2025. As James mentioned, he will likely be streaming tomorrow at our regularly scheduled Han Shot First 9 p.m. time slot. So if he is there, I will likely be there as well. So I look forward to seeing all of you. In the meantime, turn those notifications on because I've got some catch up to do, as we've discussed. I owe you all some videos and some other projects, so make sure those notifications are on. And if you are interested in seeing more, join the Discord. I know Stu threw a link in the chat at some point, or follow us on Twitter, and follow me on Twitter if you're interested in following along with the Pulp Fiction project, which will finally be getting going in 2025. Thank you all for bearing with us over the holidays. Busy as always, but we should be getting out of here. GG, thanks for the Nosferatuesday stream. We're going to have another one next week when I get to watch the movie on Tuesday. But shout out everybody. John, Kang, Harles, Nate, Sleek, Shadow. Let's see, did I miss anybody? I apologize if I did. Of course, Headbug from the future. Happy New Year, Headbug. Happy New Year to all of you. And Axel, first in the chat. Appreciate you, Axel. And a shout out to everybody in our Discord as well. It's time to go. Farewell, gang. I will see you next time.